The second piece on the program is Dvorak's Seventh Symphony in D minor, and this is what Dvorak, the process that Dvorak used to create this piece is illustrative of what Romantic music is all about and how it's different from other periods of time. Dvorak was not a typical Romantic composer, really, until he got to this point in his life. And he was sort of frustrated that he was viewed as being a composer that wrote beautiful, bohemian, Eastern European tunes and melodies and dances, but not the weighty, deeply personal, deeply profound and introspective music that was beginning to characterize the Romantic period. He got this commission from the London Philharmonic, and he decided, and he had just heard his mentor Brahms' Third Symphony, which affected him deeply, and he was at a point in his life where he had just had the death of his mother and then his eldest daughter. So this was a time of deep introspection for him, and then this commission came through, and it just flashed. He had this fabulous insight and fabulous burst of creative energy. And so this symphony really looks inside his personal experience, and that's really what Romanticism is all about, and getting that spelt out in the most, painted in the broadest terms so everybody in the audience gets those emotions and those life experiences. So here's a little bit of the first movement, which kind of goes back and forth between gloom and sweetness. Sort of brooding darkness, the low instruments, violas and cellos and basses. Then little outbursts. So this symphony kind of balances that introspective stuff with what is more characteristic of Dvorak: gorgeous, singing, bohemian, folky melodies like this. It's just so heartwarming, personal. But the second movement really takes us into what is new about this piece in Dvorak and what makes this piece really the great masterpiece that it is. In the second movement, very shortly after two introductory melodies, we get to this point in the piece where the grief becomes so deep, so melancholy, that time almost seems to stand still. And it's hard to think of composers before Mahler, really, who look this deeply and sadly inside. It's just agonizing. But like anybody's experience of grief, one goes through stages. And we might think of moving on to a happy memory of lost loved ones. And then moving quickly to anger. And that subsides. And then, what would we call this? Maybe this French horn theme, consolation, something like that. it's really an excursion into the personal grief of this man. And that's what romantic music does, and had not ever been thought to be the domain of music until Beethoven lost his hearing. That was really the point. Third movement, after all of this, Dvorak takes us back to a nice, lovely Slavonic dance. This could easily be some of the slightly melancholy, mostly cheerful stuff that makes up most of his music. Very dance-like. Fourth movement. Just going to play you a little bit of the end. Returns to a deeper, more introspective, angry kind of a quality, and then ends as you'll hear. This is going to be a dark, angry ending, we think. But if you change the third in a chord from minor to major, you get a Picardy third ending. So out of all of that comes something resolute, almost triumphant. That's Dvorak's Seventh Symphony.